Hello again. Sorry about the technology there. We were rudely interrupted by the lack of Wi-Fi as I'm sitting in my car outside, would you believe, McDonald's, trying to get some Wi-Fi so that we can have a conversation for this Thoughtful Thursday. So apologies for that. The technology is wonderful as long as it's working. We are today, this Thoughtful Thursday, looking at and talking about motivation. And in the last little clip I was talking about motivation is there. Michael Neal refers to it as it's like the sun on a cloudy day and you can't see the sun. You do know it's there. And your motivation is the same. So if you're there, hey Deirdre, good to see you. If you've got any questions around motivation, feel free to just pop them in the comments box. Good to see you. And for all of you that are joining me here on this live video, if you just give me a thumbs up or some hearts just to let me know that you're there. And as I say, if you've got any questions around motivation, please feel free to pop them in the comments box. I've had a number of emails and private messages around the issue of motivation, but you know what, guys, motivation is there all the time, just like the sun. It just depends on the cocktail that you're shaking on a particular day, or indeed in a particular moment, whether you feel that you're motivated or not. Hey Geraldine, good to see you. Thanks for hopping on to this Facebook chat. We're talking about motivation, and before we were rudely interrupted last time when the connection dropped out, I was just saying to think of a time when you were really motivated to do something. Whether it was starting day one of a new diet, whether it was day one of a new regime to go to the gym, maybe it was something. Hey Ethel, good to see you. How are you doing today? Ethel is very good. She's always on my live chat, so it's good to have you along. And we're talking motivation today, Ethel, and what gets you motivated. Or some people are sending me messages saying they've lost their mojo, which I'm translating to be motivation. But as I said, if you remember a time when you were really motivated to do something, you were telling yourself something, you were telling yourself a particular story that had you motivated, you were doing a set of actions that had you generate yourself to take action, and it had you feeling motivated. Now remember, in terms of mind, thought, consciousness, the three principles of lifeology in you, your thinking in your mind is what has you feel whether you're motivated or not. So if you can remember that time when you did something for the first time and you were highly motivated to achieve it, then just break down the component parts, see what you were seeing, hear what you were hearing, feel what you were feeling, and remember the feeling is a shadow of thought. That's a really important principle to hold on to, no matter whether it's motivation or anything. If you're feeling a particular way, it's a shadow of your thinking. And if you want to change how you're feeling, well, it's simple. Change what you're thinking. And I know people say, oh, that's easy for you to say. It's not easy for me to say. It's easy for you to do as much as it's easy to say. And it's as simple as that. And now I know all of the naysayers are sort of, oh yeah, that's easy for you. Oh, thank you, Ethel. Yes, thanks for that. And it is really, if you sit down and think about it, and I know I wrote an article the other day, and it's a quote from Sid Banks, who was the founder of the three principles, and he talks about it's not to think any less of yourself, just think less about yourself. And I hold on to that personally, that particular quote, whenever I'm having a difficult thinking pattern around something. Because our thinking is usually about us in the context of the situation. And as I always say to people when I'm working with them, whatever situations you find yourself in, you're the common denominator in all of them. So it's about self-reflection and stop to think, well, you know, and a pretty harsh example of this is, right, someone has had a diagnosis of cancer and all of the family are crying. And this actually happened to me. Hi Brendan, how are you? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining. We're talking motivation here, so you'll be able to chip in. Brendan also works as a coach, and he has many motivational speaking engagements. So he's also very much into motivation. But to go back to the analogy, whenever I remember whenever, hey Andrew, good to see you. We're talking motivation today, so if you want to make any comments, please do. You're welcome, Brendan. Yeah, so whenever I had my father had a diagnosis of prostate cancer, and I remember standing crying in my office, and someone turned around and said, "What are you crying for?" And I said, "Well, my dad's got cancer. He could potentially pass away as a result of it." And the person actually said to me, "Are you crying for your dad, or are you crying for yourself?" Now, at the time, I sort of thought, "Oh, it's like I'd been slapped around the face with a wet fish." But when you think about it, and when you analyse, you're thinking about a particular set of circumstances. It is in the context of yourself. So if you can actually get out of the distinction of me and step into another distinction where it allows clean thinking to show up around the situation, then you see things differently. So ask yourself the question, why am I not feeling motivated? Why am I not taking action? Why am I not doing whatever it is that you're procrastinating about? And only you have the answer to that. Because you're doing it, you're running the programs in your brain. And here's the thing, whether you're motivated or you're not motivated, you're running the show. So it's all about the story. Remember, we talked a couple of videos ago about the story that you tell yourself. Well, that's as simple as it can be. It's the story around what you're telling yourself around motivation. So today on this Thoughtful Thursday, what can you think differently about a set of circumstances that you will be more motivated to take action? Because remember, situations and circumstances don't change as quickly as you're thinking about them. Yeah? Now, I'll say that again. Situations don't change as quickly as you're thinking about them. An example of that, someone's going through a really bad divorce at the moment, and the response is, "Well, I have good days and bad days." Well, who says you have a good day and who says you have a bad day? Because if a divorce is in the courts and in the process, well, depending on where you live, it could be a lengthy time that it takes. So why do you have good days and bad days? Because you have different thinking on the good days than you have on the bad days, because the actual circumstance hasn't changed, has it? So that's something for you to think about today on this Thoughtful Thursday. Think about your thinking. Motivation is just, "Hey Abby, good to see you." We're talking motivation. So if any of you've got any sort of tips that you'd like to share with our audience, because obviously this will be on for a replay later. If there's anything that you want to add to what I'm saying around motivation, but it really is as simple as it's your thinking. And if you're living in the feeling of your thinking, well then change your thinking and the feeling will change. It's automatic, it's a given. So thank you for joining me on this Thoughtful Thursday. I hope to see you all again on Mindful Monday. And if you've got any topics or any discussion that you want me to talk about on Mondays or Thursdays, please feel free to do so. Also, if you'd like some additional resources, there is a Lifeology and You closed group on Facebook, and if you want to join that, just send me a notification and I can approve that and join you to the group. Because I actually have in the process, and you probably see it on my feed or certainly in the Lifeology and You group, I'm putting together a free online program. Just like this, probably on GoToMeeting, where we can actually discuss in more detail how you can get control and focus back in your life. Because when I've spoken to a lot of the people that I've worked with, those were two of the things that they got back, if you like, as a result of working with me, was focus and clarity. Because a lot of times your thinking leads to confusion and have you in a muddle and feeling stuck. So if you want to register and sign up for that, there is a sign up form on the group, and I think there should be one also on my feed as well. So thank you all for joining me this Thursday, and I wish you a lovely day, and I hope that you mix the cocktail in your brain today that is motivation. Have a wonderful Thursday. Bye.